always been keen on the sons of Tappet. We've done well with him. He's broken out quite well. He's a beautiful mover, potentially a really nice two-turn horse going forward. We're really kind of very fond of him.
We bought the Tappert filly out of the Blue Eyes in the Rain filly at the Keeneland sale. What we really liked about her was obviously her physique. We liked the way she moved, and we just fell in love with her from the start, really.
Tappert, standing at Gainesway.
Dan Illman, Mike Beer, race number 9 at Keeneland on Saturday, the last chance to get Kentucky Derby qualifying points. It's the Grade 3 Lexington, race number 9. These 3-year-olds are going to go 1 mile and a 16th with the short stretch. Our coverage is presented by Gainesway. Let's take a look at this field, and it's a pretty big field, and there are some pretty nice horses in here. The number 2, In Due Time, was second in the Fountain of Youth. The number 11, Call Me Midnight, won the Grade 3 LeCompte. Dash Attack, the 10, won the Smarty Jones Stakes. Tawny Port, the 9, just got points running second in the Jeff Ruby Stakes. Major General was a graded stakes winner at Churchill Downs last year. Good addition of the Lexington, Mike.
Yeah, I did. I thought it was an interesting race as well, Dan. It just kind of feels like one of those races where you're not going to be surprised necessarily if any one of these horses wins. And it really feels like trips are going to be really important in here.
To be honest, after going through these past performances, I had no idea who was going to make the lead. I've seen some horses that have shown speed on occasion, but I'm not sure that's really their preferred running style. We throw up the Timeform US pace projector for some clues. Timeform US believes Strava, blinkers on, will be forwardly placed. Major General was a gate-to-wire winner in his debut at Saratoga, but has been off the pace in his last 2 starts. He gets blinkers as well. In Due Time, more of a tracking type. I still don't know who's going to be on the lead. I know Howling Time tried to make the lead in the Kentucky Jockey Club 2 back.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know what's going to happen early in this race. We'll see who decides to get aggressive. The more I looked at it, Dan, the more I thought the 1 Midnight Chrome, who was switching back to dirt for this race, I thought that horse could take advantage of his inside draw and show some speed.
See, I think that's a very good point, because Midnight Chrome, a lot of folks are going to look at the last race on dirt, which was 2 starts back in the Remsen, and they're going to say, come on, Mike, 51-2, 116. How's he going to make the lead in here? Well, I think they're going to utilize that same style, and they're going to be happy if they go 48 and change to make the front in here. He was in against Mo Donegal. He was in against Zandon. He was in Too Tough. He was still pretty game to hold third. Now, I'm still not sure whether he's a turf or a dirt horse, but I do think he's going to be forwardly placed, and I still think he's rather unexposed.
Yeah, I had all those same thoughts about him, Dan. I mean, I didn't sit there and try to make a super strong case for him. It's a really tough spot for this horse, but you just don't know what he is at this point. And the last time they ran him on dirt, was he close to winning the Remsen? No, he wasn't. But was that a terrible performance? No, it wasn't terrible either. And as well matched this field is, there's not a bunch of killers in here.
Jose Ortiz takes the mount for Kentucky Derby winning trainer John Service. In Due Time looked good 2 starts back, winning a 1-turn mile at Gulfstream with a big figure, a 92, and he kind of backed the race up in the Grade 2 Fountain of Youth. Let's watch that race right now. He got a good trip under Paco Lopez, saved ground in behind the lead, and then he bowled his way through 3 wide on the far turn. He kind of caused all that commotion at the quarter pole. Once he got to the outside, he ran on for second.
Yeah, he did. You're right about that. I mean, I think he maybe he was most responsible for the spill that happened at the top of the stretch. I don't know. That it was hard to tell with the angles that you had. But I did like the way that he ran on through the stretch there to get up for second. I don't have any real knocks on this horse, Dan. I'm not going to sit here and say I would be happy to take some kind of super short price on him in here, but he's obviously very logical.
The number 3 is We All See It. And this horse is a bit of an in and outer thus far for trainer Eddie Keneally, son of Street Sense. Ran well 3 starts back, but that was an off-turf race. Thought he might have hung that day also. He had every chance on the outside. They ran him at Oaklawn. Now he ran against Zozos, who's very good. So I'm willing to kind of draw a line through that, although I would have liked to have at least seen him run a little bit. Last time out, he got the job done. It was nice that he actually finished the race off.
Yeah, I felt the same way about him. That race 3 back, the off-turf race where he was entered main track only, that was a pretty disappointing loss. And obviously he didn't run well in his next start at Oaklawn. I mean, I guess he ran better last time, Dan. I don't know what to make of that race. To me, the 91 buyer he got is way too high. When you look at all the horses that ran in that race, especially the horses that ran 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe even 5th, that figure doesn't make a lot of sense to me for any of those horses.
That makes sense to me. It's an outlier just looking at his past performances, although you could make the case. Listen, he's a 3-year-old. He's getting good in the spring of his 3-year-old campaign. And maybe that 91, if that 91 is right, he is a factor in this race at a price. Ethereal Road is up next. Ethereal Road was very impressive winning his maiden race because he missed the break completely at Oaklawn and then just swung past the whole field. He ran a nice race in the Rebel. He made a bit of an early move. He was not as good as Onuoho, who was able to save a lot more ground than he did. But in the Bluegrass last time out, he didn't run very well. It was a much better field, and I like that Lucas is wheeling him back.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, he's another one where if he took money in here, I wouldn't want to be betting, serious money on him. But I don't mind them wheeling him back to running this race. He just got in too tough. He wound up well beaten in the Bluegrass. I didn't think he ran that poorly in that race. He made a little bit of run off the turn there, got bumped in the upper stretch, and then got tired. His prior 2 races are both fine. We'll see what kind of price he is.
The question is, does he get pace? I think we're at this point. We know he's going to be near the back of the pack. Not only does he need pace, he needs a little bit of racing luck, and the short stretch could work against him as well. Howling Time is up next to number 5. He won his first 2 starts, including the Street Sense at Churchill Downs. I did not love that race. They put him on the lead in the Kentucky Jockey Club. I'm not going to say that's not what he wants to do. I'm going to say he doesn't want Smile Happy, Classic Causeway, White Barrio, etc. And then they ran him in the Fountain of Youth off the layoff, and he just didn't fire. So the Fountain of Youth, to me, is the more disappointing race. But is it too early to give up on this horse?
I mean, probably it is. Boy, those last 2 races are pretty bad, though. I mean, I guess all in all, he is one of the horses in the Fountain of Youth who was eliminated by the spill. I mean, he wasn't in contention at that point, so it's hard to say what he was going to do through the final quarter of a mile. I don't know. His Kentucky Jockey Club, to me, was such a poor performance. I get that it was a live race against better horses. He was awful in there.
He does have tactical speed. Maybe he'll take a step forward in his second start of the form cycle for Dale Romans. Skate to Heaven is up next. This horse was beaten by Ethereal Road, despite Ethereal Road missing the break, but he came back to win. Let's watch the 2-turn race with a short stretch on Oaklawn Park. In Skate to Heaven, David Cohen aboard, swings 4 wide. He's a little bit late to change leads. Once he does, he is able to grind down these horses in front. It was an improved performance for Skate to Heaven, and it was his first race listed as a gelding.
Yeah, it's a very game performance. I mean, he's not going to blow anybody away by winning a race like this. And he also got a really good trip in this race. After, at the start, he came out and he bumped a horse to his outside really hard out of the gate in that race. But after that, he just got into a really good trip and he managed to get the job done. It was another step in the right direction for him, Dan. Maybe Diodoro will get him to take one more step forward, which I think he has to do.
Can I have a reboot here for Todd Pletcher's number 7, Major General? Irad Ortiz takes the mount. Debut winner at Saratoga, going 6.5 sprinting. Didn't change leads in that race. Wasn't particularly fast. Came back in the grade 3 Iroquois. Just found, I thought, a great spot to make his stakes debut. Liked that he was able to come from off the pace. Race wasn't very fast. Didn't think it was that good. He showed up in the Tampa Bay Derby, and he just lost all chance at the start of that race. So how do you look at a horse like this? 2 starts at 2 that maybe didn't blow you away, but the Tampa Bay Derby and another throwout. He could be a completely different horse in only his 4th lifetime start.
I mean, that's very fair. If I wanted to take that position on him, Dan, I definitely wouldn't do it at the 4-1 morning line. I don't think you can bet horses like this at short prices. The other thing about his Tampa Bay race last time, and all the things that went wrong for him in there, and it was off the layoff. He did stumble at the start. After that, how about picking up your feet? At any point in the race. I mean, he just didn't do any running at all in there, and he did win his first 2 starts last year. They were just more game than anything else. There was nothing that impressive about those wins, Dan. Again, I mean, if you wanted to, try to dress him up a little bit, I guess it's possible to do it. I just think it's a mistake to do it at the morning line price.
Like Major General, the number 8 Strava will add blinkers, and Strava cost a lot of money, $825,000 after winning the career debut. The source was purchased after the debut. Ran at the fairgrounds second time out, ran okay. Last time out, ran okay, ran to a nice horse, Cyberknife. I think this horse has a lot of potential, and if this horse can run to the Timeform US pace projector and get forwardly placed, this price 20-1 might sound very good.
I could see him getting the right trip in this race. And then we'll just see if he's able to improve, because I feel like when I watched his last 2 races in particular, he's got to improve by a lot, Dan. I thought he ran fine sprinting over that sloppy track, although that was a race where he had dead aim in the last 1/8 of a mile there and got out finished at the end of that race. And then last time, I mean, I guess that performance was okay, but I thought he got a good trip in that race. And when they got to the top of the stretch, you know, he was right there again with a shot to win it. And he just wasn't really close to good enough to even finish second in there. I think he has to improve by a lot.
He is green, however. Maybe the blinkers will help him focus a little bit more. Cyberknife, of course, came back to win the Arkansas Derby. Tawny Port won his first 2 starts at Turfway Park, and they ran him in the Risen Star. I think a very good sign for trainer Brad Cox. And you're going to look at that running line, and you're going to be like, not that great. He did not have a good trip in this race. He got smashed soon after the start. He ended up kind of last on the rail down the backstretch in a race where there just wasn't any pace. He was on hold on the turn. He had to go sharply 5 wide turning into the stretch. And then he picked up some horses. And then it was just a shame last time out in the Jeff Ruby Stakes. He kind of threw a fit during the warm-up, unseated the rider, and then he ran okay behind a good horse, Tiz the Bomb.
Yeah, I thought he ran well last time too. And now obviously it feels like synthetic, that Turfway synthetic track. It's probably his favorite surface at this point. He's run really well in all 3 of his starts over there, but he did run well again last time against a good horse. And I'm with you on his Risen Star, Dan. I just feel like he ran a really underrated race that day against a field that's a lot better than this one.
Dash Attack won his first 2 starts, both on wet tracks, including the Smarty Jones Stakes, a race in which he didn't break very well. He had to knife his way through traffic to get to the outside, and then he closed that field down. The field maybe hasn't come back very strong. Dash Attack hasn't come back very strong. He didn't really fire in the Southwest. The Rebel, a little bit of traffic, but again, I needed to see more.
Yeah, me too. He did win that Smarty Jones. It was a wet track that probably helped him, and he had a great pace setup in that race that also really helped him. And that may not play out in here. I just don't like the way that he's finished in either one of his last 2 starts.
If you give the 11 Call Me Midnight some pace, and that's a questionable scenario on Saturday, he's going to come with a run. We saw that in the Lecomte 2 starts back where Epicenter did all the dirty work. Call Me Midnight ran him down. Now in the Louisiana Derby, as usual, he was last. He was kind of floated out wide on the backstretch. He made a looping move into contention through the second turn and into upper stretch. He poked his head briefly into 4th, and then he flattened out. I think he's a strong contender in here. This post doesn't bother me because he's just going to be taken back and as close to the rail as possible, 15 off the lead.
I agree. He's just a very logical horse in here. The win 2 starts back, he took advantage in there. I mean, there's no way to go back and watch that race and not feel like, you know, listen, he didn't run the best race, but he got the job done at a really big price. And he ran fine last time. It was just, you know, a little bit too tough for him considering the trip that he got in there. This is a way better spot for him. And I feel like that 6-1 morning line, if you can get it, I think it's very fair.
Before we get to our top picks, remember to subscribe. Click on the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. You can have access to all the latest videos from DRF TV. Top pick time. This is just a wide open race, Mike. And I hear everything you say about We All See It's last buyer speed figure. Maybe it was just way inflated. I have to have a price in this race. I can't take any of the shorter priced horses. I think 7 or 8 could win this. This horse, even with the fig, is going to be a price. Your top selection, Tawny Port, makes sense. And I think I probably should have moved Call Me Midnight up a little bit as well.
Yeah, especially if they bet the race along the morning line. It feels like the 11 is probably the best price out of anyone. We'll see how they bet it. I didn't really know what to do in here, Dan. I don't have a big, strong opinion in here. I just like Tawny Port as a horse. And his only dirt start so far, I feel like if he just shows up here and runs his Risen Star back and pulls any kind of a trip, he's going to be tough in here.
Tawny Port for Mike, 9-2-11-1. We All See It for me. Is the fig a phony? We'll find out on Saturday, 3-2-11-9. It's the Grade 3 Lexington, our coverage presented by our good friends at Gainesway.